Hello, and welcome to another vlog. We're back and we have some exciting things planned for this summer. Over the next couple months, I'll be releasing weekly videos every Wednesday in which I talk about whatever's on my mind, and then we'll be returning to the old format in September. With summer vacation about to start with for a lot of people, I've decided that this week I want to talk a little bit about body positivity, because there's going to be a lot of individuals outside wearing some revealing clothing and showing off their bodies more than usual. And it's important that we remember the importance of respecting one another's bodies and not shaming each other for characteristics that we have no control over. So the main thing that I want to talk about today is the body positivity movement, especially how it relates to people with disabilities, as this is a series about people with disabilities. And then I want to talk a little bit about the fashion industry and some models with disabilities. So let's get started. So the body positivity movement is a societal movement which basically teaches people to love their bodies and to embrace their flaws. And of course to respect everyone else's bodies and treat people with respect. And this is a very important movement. I think it's one of the most important things for people to remember, especially this time of year. The downfall with the body positivity movement, however, is that it often excludes people with disabilities. And this is not good because people with disabilities are just as self-conscious about their bodies as able-bodied individuals, in some cases more so because our bodies don't always look and function the way people consider to be normal. And that can just add to the self-consciousness that people with disabilities often feel. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that society tends to be very uncomfortable with the notion of disability. It's something that society wants to kind of avoid and sort of skirt around as much as they can and minimize the emphasis on disability as much as they can. And this is, a shame because people with disabilities have enough things to deal with without having to deal with the criticism and the judging. We don't need the negativity on top of all of that. And society's negative view of disability can oftentimes be seen, especially on platforms such as social media, so like Facebook and Twitter, and other media outlets like that. People with disabilities tend to be patronized and looked down upon simply because our bodies don't work the way society considers to be normal. And a good example of this is, like I said, on social media. I've seen posts, for example, of people with colostomy bags being shamed for wearing bathing suits on the beach. And as far as I'm concerned, this is unacceptable for a number of reasons. First of all, those individuals have the right to wear what they choose, where they choose, and it's not up to us to tell them what they can and can't wear. Furthermore, if you're uncomfortable seeing someone with a colostomy bag or showing off their body, that's not that person's problem, that's your problem, and the solution to that is actually quite simple. It's just, don't go to the beach. If you're not comfortable seeing people in bathing suits, then just don't go to the beach. Don't ruin their day just because, you're not comfortable with that. So that's really important for us to remember. Like I said, people with disabilities have enough to deal with. We don't need all of the negativity on top of that. And the body positivity movement is slowly changing and slowly starting to include more and more people in it. It's not just including men and women, but also, visible minorities and people within the LGBTQ community, and of course people with disabilities. But it's taking a long time. And it's something that I'm hoping, if we talk about, we can kind of speed up that process. And I think the fashion industry is a good example of how slow that change is, because the fashion industry itself tends to be kind of slow, I find, at really adapting to the changes in society. Like I said, the fashion industry, they're showcasing more models from different walks of life. We're not just talking about plus size models or visible minorities or people within the LGBTQ community. We're also talking about people with disabilities and other minorities. Unfortunately, that last group of people with disabilities, seems to be the group of people that the fashion industry is the slowest at actually welcoming into their ranks. And, that's kind of unfortunate, because with as much attention as the fashion industry gets, it could be a good way for us to change society's point of view about disability. Now, there are some models with disabilities, there's not many, but there are a few, and hopefully that group is going to grow and get larger. Because, like I said, it's a great way. The fashion industry is a great means of, it could be a good platform to help change people's point of view about disability and things like that. So, there's 4 models with disabilities in particular that I just want to talk about very briefly. There's Madeline Stewart, who's an Australian model with Down syndrome. Jillian Mercado, who's an American model with spastic muscular dystrophy. There's Dr. Danielle Shapuk. She's an American psychologist who does motivational speaking and modeling on the side. And then there's Jack Ayers, who's a British para-athlete who also does some modeling, and he was recently crowned Mr. England. And I'm going to include articles that talk about each of those individuals in a little bit more detail, which I encourage you to check out, because I think that those individuals are really helping to move some ground and change people's point of view about disability, which is something that we talk about a lot on the show and on this series. And that doesn't just, this whole idea of body positivity for people with disabilities doesn't just apply to people with visible disabilities. It doesn't just apply to people who are in wheelchairs. It doesn't just apply to amputees or people with deformities. This applies to everyone with a disability, including people with things like scoliosis, people who use colostomy bags, feeding tubes, or catheters, and of course people with invisible disabilities. Basically, anyone with a disability or a health condition needs to be included in the body positivity movement. Really, everyone does. The body positivity movement needs to apply to everyone, because everyone has a body. And, it's not just a few people here and there who sometimes feel self-conscious about their bodies. Everyone feels self-conscious about their bodies sometimes. Anyway, so like I said, I'm going to include some articles in the description below, which I encourage you to check out. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, and of course, hit that subscribe button. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you next time.